The film begins by showing a 30-year-old man named Jerry who works as an agent for sports athletes. Because of his expertise in being an agent, Jerry was hired by famous athletes in every sport field. And because of that, Jerry became very rich. Until one night, Jerry suddenly couldn't sleep well because apparently, even though he is very rich, he feels that the job of a sports agent is not just to make money, but there must be loyalty in it. The problem is, if Jerry chooses loyalty, then he can't take care of many players and that will result in the minimum amount of money he receives. Because of this, finally in the night, Jerry poured all his thoughts into a piece of writing. Jerry sends his writing to the office for the rest of his friends to read. Waking up in the morning, Jerry suddenly regretted what he had written. Jerry also regretted sending it to the office so that his friends would definitely read it. After that, Jerry arrived at his office and unexpectedly it turned out that he received a very lively welcome because the thoughts he wrote were also the thoughts of his friends, so that Jerry was considered to have voiced opinions that had not been expressed by anyone so far. But on the other hand, it turns out that Jerry's boss doesn't like his writing because it can cause their office to lose and they can't get much money anymore. If each agent only takes care of one player, then they won't be able to get a lot of money. The next day, Jerry was boarding the plane. At that time, suddenly Jerry met his coworker, Dorothy. It turns out that Dorothy really admired Jerry because of his courage in writing something revolutionary. The next day, Jerry's office throws a party for him because he is the best agent in his office. Jerry managed to get a lot of money for his office because he managed to work with great sports athletes. After that, it was told that Jerry already had a very beautiful girlfriend. At the party, Jerry was very happy because his friends and girlfriend always supported him. So that was the happiest night for Jerry. The next day, Jerry was invited to have lunch with his boss. But unexpectedly, suddenly at that time, Jerry's boss decided to fire him on the grounds that he did not like Jerry's idea of requiring one agent to only take care of one player, because that would have a negative impact on his office. Jerry immediately became angry because he had been the one who had brought up the name of the office. Jerry also said that his boss was ungrateful. Jerry continued that he would take all his clients to and from this office. After that, Jerry and his boss returned to the office to fight over clients. They both called clients one by one asking them to choose to stay in the office or come with Jerry. Jerry was shocked when he called his clients one by one. They decided to leave Jerry because they felt safer in the office than having to be with Jerry, who was now working self-employed. Jerry was finally abandoned by all of his clients, until he called one of his clients named Rod. At that time, Jerry was sad, but Rod asked him to dance for no reason like crazy. Even Rod invited Jerry to dance together. Because Rod is his client, like it or not, Jerry has to comply.
Show me the money! That's it, brother, but you got... Show me the money!
Finally at that time Jerry was screaming like a madman in his office. And that's why Rod accepted Jerry as his agent. After that, in the evening, Jerry left his office. Jerry left his room very sad because all his clients left him and he only has one client at the moment. Before leaving his office, Jerry saw all corners of his office and he felt that his office could be as big as it is because of his hard work. At that time, he felt very betrayed because his boss had fired him. But again, there was nothing Jerry could do. Jerry, who felt he was still great, at that time he offered to all his office friends that if anyone wanted to leave the office, they would be able to work with him. Tragically, none of Jerry's friends wanted to come with him. Not even Jerry's secretary wanted to follow him. He also felt embarrassed because so far he had no friends who were loyal to him. Even at that time Jerry also felt humiliated. Finally, with his stupidity, Jerry decided to take the fish from the aquarium so there are beings loyal to him. Jerry says that it's okay if they all betray him because there are fish who are always loyal to him. Suddenly, when Jerry was about to leave his office, Dorothy decided to follow him. Of course Jerry was very happy because at least one person believed in him. Yes, that's life. Sometimes it's so cruel and can make us fall, but God always has a way to make us strong. With the support from Dorothy, Jerry became excited to achieve his success again. Furthermore, it is said that Dorothy already has a son. She was scolded by her older sister for her decision to leave the office and follow in Jerry's steps, because Jerry still didn't have a clear project. But Dorothy told her sister that she believed in Jerry that he could achieve his success again. On the other hand, Jerry was also encouraged by his fiancée, Avery. His fiancée said that Jerry should succeed again. The next day, Jerry meets his best potential client who is the best rugby player who is about to join the Premier League. Jerry then meets the client's father. Because he had received many rejections before, Jerry was afraid of being rejected again. But unexpectedly, it turned out that his client immediately accepted Jerry as his agent. Of course, Jerry was extremely happy. He was so grateful and he couldn't contain his joy until he hugged his client tightly. After that, Jerry went home. While on the way, in the car, Jerry sang because that day he was very happy. Don't forget, Jerry immediately told Dorothy that he had managed to get his best client, and Jerry was sure that after this he would be able to achieve his success again. Then, it was the opening day of the player transfer. As an agent, of course Jerry offers his clients to other clubs. Currently, Jerry holds 2 clients. They are Rod and Franks. Frank is one of the best players, so Jerry doesn't need to offer him to all clubs, because the club will come to Frank. It's different with Rod. He's just a bald, talentless gentleman who just grumbles a lot. Because of that night Jerry focused on taking care of Rod and introducing him to the club owners. After finishing with Rod, Jerry takes care of Frank. Jerry immediately asked Frank which club he wanted to join, because Jerry was sure he could work on it. Unexpectedly, Frank suddenly betrayed Jerry. Frank chose to change agents, and he chose to join the agency of Jerry's former boss. Jerry is furious that Frank betrayed him, but Jerry realizes he did something stupid because he trusted Frank too much, so he didn't give the contract. So, Frank, who is not bound by any contract, can freely leave Jerry. At that time, Avery was angry at Jerry after knowing that Jerry had been abandoned by his best client. Avery thinks Jerry is stupid for not giving Frank a contract. And all of a sudden, Avery thought that Jerry would never be as successful as he used to be. Jerry, who felt humiliated and belittled by his girlfriend, finally decided to break up with his girlfriend. And it was Jerry's worst day because everyone left and betrayed him. Jerry, who was very frustrated, went straight home to calm his mind. At home, he plays jump rope. After he was tired of jumping rope, Jerry suddenly realized that sometimes in life, there is no one who motivates him, supports him, and helps him, so he has to do everything himself, and after that, Jerry decides to keep fighting. The next day, Jerry meets the only client he has, Rod. At that time Rod said to Jerry that maybe now everyone left him, but he promised to always stay with Jerry. Hearing those words, Jerry realized that it was better to get a talentless client than to get a traitorous client. Next, Jerry goes to Dorothy's house. When he arrived at Dorothy's house, Jerry looked very confused and stressed because of the many problems he was experiencing.
Hello?
Jerry looked like a crazy person because he suddenly laughed to himself. Maybe it's true, trying to laugh is one way to forget the problem for a moment. Dorothy's sister, who saw Jerry as a reckless man and had no future, then gave advice to Dorothy so that it was better for her not to have anything to do with a man like Jerry. Dorothy explained that she knew Jerry was at the lowest point in his life, but Dorothy was sure Jerry would make his comeback. It's true, it's not easy accompanying a man from nothing, but Dorothy believed it would be far more beautiful than accompanying a man who was already at the peak of his success. On the other hand, it turns out that Dorothy's son is very close to Jerry. This was because Dorothy's son had no father figure since he was baby, so he never found a father figure, and maybe at that time, Dorothy's son saw a father figure in Jerry. At that time, Jerry and Dorothy's son played together and they laughed heartily. After that, Dorothy came in again. Jerry was acting crazy, and it turned out that at that time, Jerry was drunk. Seeing Jerry's behavior like a madman, Dorothy actually felt sorry for him, and finally she convinced Jerry that he could be successful again someday. Next, it is told that Jerry started calling all the club owners to offer Rod from his agent. Unfortunately, all the clubs offered Rod a contract but with a low salary. Jerry went straight to Rod and told him that he had to change and had to train even more. But again, Rod didn't listen to Jerry and instead talked nonsense. Jerry, who is very fed up with Rod, gets angry and tells Rod that now he is bankrupt, so Jerry asks Rod for help so he can work together. Seeing Jerry act like that, Rod laughed, but he promised he would help Jerry. The next day, Jerry feels that Dorothy is the only woman who believes in him, so Jerry begins to be attracted to Dorothy. That day, Jerry asked Dorothy out on a date and they had dinner together. It turned out that Dorothy also liked Jerry, and finally, that night they both decided to date. Then, finally Jerry got a contract for Rod, but the problem was that the contract that Jerry got was very small, so Rod's wife scolded Jerry because she thought Jerry had failed. Rod's wife also told Rod that they would be better off just changing agents to Jerry's old office. But Rod actually refused and said no. He already believed in Jerry. Rod believes that in the future, they will get a better contract. Finally, since then, Rod began to get the motivation to play better. Jerry and Rod are getting closer, and at that time Jerry tells his love story to Rod. At that time, Rod knew that Jerry was seeing Dorothy, a single mother, and Rod advised Jerry not to play games with women who already had children, so Jerry had to have a serious relationship with her. Jerry must continue to fight for this woman. But Jerry said that at that time, he was still unsure about continuing to a more serious stage. Hearing that, Rod said that a woman who deserves to be fought for is a woman who sincerely accompanies him when he is struggling from scratch, not the one who only comes when Jerry is successful. Finally, Jerry realized that the only woman who was there when he was down was Dorothy. The next day, it turned out that Dorothy was in need of money to support her son. That's why Dorothy decided to move work out of town and she had to part with Jerry. For fear of parting with Dorothy, Jerry, who remembered Rod's advice, immediately decided to propose to Dorothy. Dorothy accepted Jerry's proposal and a few days later, they got married. After that, Jerry's family and Rod's family became even closer. Jerry often asked his family to eat together with Rod's family. A few days passed, and now Rod trains harder, so day by day, his game is getting better. Then, Jerry and Dorothy's household is told. After their marriage, Dorothy felt that Jerry still had doubts and he didn't seem to love Dorothy. Until one night, Dorothy asked Jerry if he loved her. Jerry just kept silent and didn't answer his wife's question, which indicated that he was still in doubt. At that time, Dorothy said that she didn't want Jerry to feel sorry for her. If Jerry didn't love her, then he could leave her now. And again Jerry just kept silent, until finally Dorothy decided to leave Jerry. The next day, Rod managed to bring his team into the playoffs. That's because in a few matches yesterday, Rod's game was getting better. Because this match is very important, then all the media is focused on this match. Jerry and Rod's family also watched this game to support Rod. Finally the match started, and unexpectedly, it turned out that Rod played very well. Until the end of the match, Rod, who was really pushing his stamina, fell hard and was unconscious. Everyone panicked, especially Jerry. Luckily, Rod came to his senses soon and the match was over.
No, wait, just let me enjoy this for a minute.
Everybody standing at sundown.
Rod's team won, and at that time Rod became a hero for his team. As usual, Rod, who likes to joke, was dancing.
Rod, we're happy for you.
After the match, all the media interviewed Rod, but at that time Rod didn't forget Jerry, and he immediately hugged Jerry. Apparently, there was also Jerry's former boss there. He was jealous of Jerry's success. That day, Jerry was very happy because he felt he had succeeded in achieving his success again. He suddenly remembered Dorothy, because without Dorothy's support, he would not have been able to achieve success like this. Immediately, Jerry ran to Dorothy's house. He was sure that Dorothy was the right woman for him. Jerry immediately went to see Dorothy, and he said that he really loved her because she was the woman who had completed him. But Dorothy said maybe it was just a momentary feeling of him, because in fact they had not known each other for long. But Jerry said that it's not about who sticks around the longest, it's about who survives the toughest times. Jerry wanted to be with Dorothy, not only when he was down but also when got success. Finally, Dorothy touched, and at that time they decided to get back together. Now, Rod is invited by several TV stations, because in that year Rod managed to become the best player. And at that time, unexpectedly suddenly, the host said that Rod got a very big contract. Rod was very happy and he thanked his family, his wife, and everyone who supported him, and finally Rod didn't forget to thank Jerry.
It's a contract, Arizona Cardinals, 4 years. Well, actually, we have some very good news for you. $11.2 million you're going to get to.
Wow! Wow! I love my wife! I love my kids! You're militant, but I ain't mad at you. My agent, Jerry Maguire, you are my ambassador of Quan, man.
According to him, Jerry is the best sports agent, and without Jerry, he would not be able to achieve success. At the end of the film, we see Jerry and his little family living happily. He managed to achieve his success again, and now he has a wife who always supports him. Jerry learned a lesson that sometimes God deliberately knocks someone down first so that person knows how beautiful it is to be on top. And maybe God broke Jerry's heart on purpose so he would meet the right woman.